When we want to talk about equations with variables on both sides, we want to start with the basics. And so our basic thing that we do in equations is a one-step equation where you have for x equals 16. Now 4 and x are multiplying together, and so when we want to get rid of multiplying, we have to do the opposite, which is dividing. We want to get rid of this 4, and so we divide by 4 to make this a 1 followed by our x. And then, of course, what we do on one side has to equal what we do on our other side. So 16 divided by 4 equals 4, and so we can say that x equals 4. We don't need the 1 in front, but having the 1 in front can help us visualize what's happening until we get to a final answer. Another situation would be x minus 4 equals 0, in which case our 4 is what's stopping us from having our x by itself, and it is a negative number. So if we wanted to get rid of a negative number, our opposite would actually be to add, or to give it a positive value. So we have to add 4 to both sides. We have an x at this side, and we have a positive 4 on that side, and so our x here is positive 4. Then we go to two-step equations, and the rule of thumb to remember about two-step equations is that what you want to do first is any addition and subtraction. So the addition or subtraction thing that is happening right now is our negative 7, and it is being subtracted because of this negative sign. So to get rid of that negative number, we have to add, and we do that to both sides. We get 4x equals 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, our 4 and our x are similar to this situation. They are multiplying, so we have to divide to get rid of it. X equals 3, and that is our solution. Notice the second step that we did here was our multiplying, and this can also be used with division. So if you see x being divided, then we can work that out as well, and that would look something like this, where we have x divided by 3 minus 5 equals negative 1. Our first step is to do our addition or subtraction. Our 5 is being subtracted because it is negative 5, so we add that 5. X divided by 3 equals negative 1 plus 5 positive 4. And then with our x divided by 3, a division problem is happening here. So to undo division, we multiply, and we want our 3's to cancel out. 3 divided by 3 is 1, so that makes it cancel. And then 4 times 3 is 12, so we're left with x equals 12. And that is a two-step problem. So we have our one steps, we have our two steps. We're going to be moving on to variables on both sides, which is a combination of those two things. So we're going to have 3x plus 5 equals 2x plus 7. And what we want to do is get all of our x's on one side equaling to all of our numbers on the other side. We want variables versus constants. So the easiest way to go about doing this is to subtract or get rid of, however means necessary, our smaller number. So our smaller coefficient in this situation is the 2, so we want to get rid of that positive 2 by subtracting. And the reason that we start with the lowest number is so that we avoid negatives later on. If we took away this 3, our x would be a negative x, and we do not want to deal with negatives as much as possible. So 3 minus 2 is 1. We don't have to write the 1. Plus 5 equals, the 2's cancel, and then we have a positive 7 on that side. Now we have a number, we have a constant here that is interfering with our x. So we want to get rid of that positive 5 and bring it to the other side, so x would equal 2. And now that we're familiar with how to find variables on both sides, You can introduce things that are a little more complicated, like the distributive property, where we have to do some algebra before we can go ahead and find x by ourselves. Here we have to do 5 times x and 5 times 1. 5 times x is simply 5x. 5 times 1 is 5 equals, then we have to do 2 times x and 2 times 10, 2x plus 20. And then we do the same thing up here, where we get rid of the smaller x and then get rid of the interfering constant. So here we're going to get rid of our smallest x. 5x minus 2x equals 3x plus 5 equals 20. We're going to get rid of our interfering constant. 3x equals 15. And now here, what's different about these situations is this, all we had to do was subtract and get our x and our number by itself, and we had our answer. Here, we have a coefficient in our way, so 3 and x are multiplying together, so to get rid of them, we must divide. Our 3's cancel, and we're left with x equals 5.